Hey everyone, Kuro the Artist here.
And I'm Kellen Goff.
Is it just me, or is Ben 10 going through some kind of renaissance?
Don't you mean, Ben-naissance?
You know what, I think I'm just gonna take the video from here.
Yeah, okay. Good luck, though.
But anyway, isn't it crazy how much Ben 10 merch we've been getting lately? Really feels like something's about to happen. At least, I hope so. But now, U2's is jumping aboard the Rust Bucket with their own contribution to the Benaissance with the officially licensed Ben Tennyson figurine. And y'all know me, I have to get in on that. I mean, look at it, it's awesome.
This is the most amazingest thing anyone could ever see.
These figures are only going to be available until March 31st before they're gone forever.
Never.
I repeat,
never to be restocked.
But if you want a chance at winning one for free, in the spirit of the subject of the most paused moments in Ben 10, I'll be hiding 5 images of the Ben Tennyson U2's figure throughout this video. Think of them like Easter eggs. Once you find all 5 figures, send me an email with the timestamps and locations of these hidden figures, and you'll be entered into a giveaway with a chance to win your own U2's figure. Up to 10 people will win. No purchase necessary, no shipping costs. You just gotta have a sharp eye and make sure you send the info before time's up. Winners will be selected at random and announced on our live stream on April 5th. Or feel free to support the Ben 10 franchise and cop your own figure off the U2's website before it's too late. That'd be pretty cool too. One of my favorite things to do on this channel is pick apart the series frame by frame, which I've been doing periodically in my Ben 10 breakdown series. This gives me a chance to analyze all of the best blink and you'll miss it frames in the Ben 10 franchise. We all know about the obvious ones, like Lodestar's hologram showing up at the end of Alien Force, but the ones that aren't as heavily focused on may take some rewinding for you to catch. Like in Mystery Incorporeal, when Ghost Freak gets electrocuted by Darkstar's attack, you can see zs'skayr's skeleton head inside. Even though zs'skayr and Ghost Freak have long been separated at this point, it's interesting to note that they still share the same biology. During the classic era, after Ghost Freak was removed from the Omnitrix, they replaced all of his images and animations in the theme song, except for the final shot when all of the aliens swirl into the Omnitrix. There, Ghost Freak is still a part of Ben's arsenal. My younger self used to think this was intentional as some sort of big foreshadowing plotline, but it's likely done just to save time and is barely noticeable in motion. Speaking of saving time with aliens, let's actually circle back to that point about Lodestar. At the end of War of the Worlds, it was strongly implied that Ben unlocked a whole new set of aliens for the next season.
Man, I don't recognize any of these guys. Here we go again.
But we ended up only getting 2 of them, Lodestar and Wrath. 3 if you want to include Nanomech, as he technically counts too. But perhaps in an effort to make it seem like Ben has even more than that, eagle-eyed fans noticed a mysterious hologram popping up inside the episode Vengeance of Vilgax Part 1. It's hard to make it out, but at the time the biggest contenders for who this was either Heat Blast or Ditto, as Ben has been using more legacy transformations in addition to his new ones at this point in the story.
What can I say? I'm feeling nostalgic.
It wasn't until later that season in the episode Busy Box that we got a better look at the hologram. Turns out they were reusing Alan's own Pyronite model, which you can argue is meant to represent Ben's own Heat Blast in-universe, though this was likely a mistake. Though Alan does awkwardly show up here and there as if he is one of Ben's aliens in some promotional material, where you can clearly tell the theme is supposed to be Omnitrix aliens. On the subject of Omnitrix aliens, there's Pierce's record of extraterrestrials sent to the Null Void. While these are more front and center and not a simple freeze frame, it's still worth pausing, as at this point in the story, Ben doesn't have access to any of these aliens, making their appearance more significant and refreshing. But also, they're still presented in the classic series art style, which can be pretty jarring if you're a stickler for stuff like that like myself. The one exception, aside from the D and Alien, is the Mechamorph, as they reuse Bazel's design from the previous episode, Peer Pressure. Also, while editing this video, I remembered something that I completely forgot was even part of the episode. For literally one frame when transitioning between the Lepidopteran and the D and Alien, you can actually see Cannonbolt right there, as if they cut his little cameo. But if you look closely when Ben hands the display pad back to Helen, the Mechamorph changes into the classic series art style, a very interesting animation error. Now, if we're considering animation errors for pause moments, we may be tapping into a whole other beast, but there are still some interesting ones to highlight. A few notable favorites are of course Ben's backstripe appearing in Washington, BC, which is an error that persists all the way to Omniverse thanks to a model sheet error, and fan favorite alternative hero Ben 23 has a few as well, well, like the Omnitrix displaying the hologram disc in It's a Mad, Mad, Mad Ben World Part 1. This happens twice, and it goes by very quickly. And in Vreedlemania, Ben Prime's Kinoceleran form has the same color palette as Ben 23's form for multiple shots. But let's shift focus back to intentional freeze-frame details, such as Ben and Rook's argument in the two-part episode of Predators and Prey.
Wait, I think I left my new plumber's badge in there. However, will I be able to get anything done without it?
The duo stage their altercation in order to catch Kyber off guard for Rook to ambush him later.
We witnessed your little tiff in Undertown, including the destruction of your plumber badge. Ravon and Friend couldn't track you here.
As Rook pretends to throw out Ben's plumber badge and run it over. It's later revealed that Rook didn't throw Ben's plumber badge out the door, but a soda can as a misdirect.
I saw you crush
This empty carbonated beverage container?
But if you go back and pause the scene, you can in fact see that it was a soda can. Sometimes in animation, they'll draw scenes one way to purposefully misdirect the audience too, only to draw things the correct way upon revelation.
Those weren't violinists, and it wasn't an engagement ring.
But here, they committed to drawing it the correct way from the start, taking a chance that they can misdirect you the first time you watch this too, and I admire the bold choice. And of course, I have to mention one of the most famous ones of all, that mysterious DN alien appearing in Max's hologram in the very first episode of Alien Force. What did this mean? Was this actually a DN alien disguised as Max the whole time? Was this Max using an ID mask to pretend to be a DN alien? We don't know, and it's never brought up again. Ultimate Alien had also dropped a freeze-frame Easter egg in its own pilot, with Ben's eyes flickering pink. While originally brushed off as an animation error, it is most likely intentional, as Ben's eyes flickering was even written into the script, though here they're described to be red. So while the pink versus red could be the animation error, the flickering itself was intentional, but also never went anywhere. And yeah, you can argue that it was a setup for the episode The Ultimate Sacrifice, where Ben's eyes do flicker red, but still, this moment itself is never touched on or brought up again. Let's check out some pop culture Easter eggs, which are some of my favorite stuff. In the Omniverse episode An American Ben Wolf in London, the gang track the Forever Knights down to
Howl's Castle moving and storage?
which references the Miyazaki film Howl's Moving Castle, featuring the fire demon, Calcifer. But if you look below, you can see a police public call box, aka the TARDIS from Doctor Who. Whovians get even more love later this episode during the graveyard fight, where a weeping angel can be seen in the background, one of the Doctor's most famous and dangerous enemies. Rewinding back to the second episode of Omniverse, some graffiti on the side gives a shout out to Regular Show, another popular Cartoon Network show at the time. But the grand champion of Ben 10 references has to go to the classic series episode Merry Christmas, where Konohamaru's entire team shows up as Elsgood's grandchildren, although you don't have to pause this one to see it. What may need some pausing is Reverend Dave Johnson's own cameo, who was the original character designer for Classic. I'm not just talking about the character from the episode Side Effects, but a caricature of himself that shows up on billboards in the opening of Washington, B.C., as well as the New York chase in the episode Kevin 11. Now, some of these famous moments need pausing not because they're only there for a few frames, but sometimes there's just so much going on you need to pause to look at everything, like Vilgax's vision of his potential Omnitrix army in the classic Season 1 finale, Secrets. You see every single one of Ben's Omnitrix alien forms in battle, and yes, even Grey Matter gets to throw some hands. But that's not the only feisty Galvan thirsting for the blood of his enemies. In the very next episode, Truth, as Max comes clean about his work as a plumber, you see yet another Galvan standing his ground against the plumbers. No suit, no weapon, just pure galvanic rage. More infamous crowd scenes are in the episode Special Delivery, where just about every non-story arc antagonist from all the previous shows are in attendance for Siphon's auction. Pausing the scene gives you a chance to see everybody, whether their attendance makes sense or not. Many characters make their Omniverse debut for the first time in this scene, sometimes entire seasons before they have any relevancy, showing just how prepared Omniverse was when designing their characters. Another great scene in the same vein is in the episode The Most Dangerous Game Show, where practically every female character in Ben 10 is temporarily transported into the game.
Wow, that's like every girl I can think of.
Like the villain auction, some of these cameos are more significant, such as Eunice, Elena, and Sunny, who have yet to appear in Omniverse up until this point. And to cap things off, I'd like to mention a moment I'm willing to bet everyone paused on, but it actually led to nothing. After the universe gets recreated in So Long and Thanks for All the Smoothies, the design for Mr. Smoothie completely changes, and now Ben is wearing his new signature white hoodie. This may have prompted you to pause the scene and look for any more changes, but you'll soon find disappointment as there isn't anything else different in that scene. scene. Still, kudos for making an honest effort. Did anyone else study this scene just to try to catch any more changes? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you found the location of all 5 hidden Ben Tennyson U2's figures, make sure to send the timestamps and descriptive locations to the email on screen. Though if you want to make sure you can cop one, act fast, as after March 31st they are gone forever. And this coming April 5th, join myself and the Tank Gang as we celebrate 5YL's anniversary. We will be showcasing some animatics, concept art, new aliens, and other teasers for the final 3 episodes, including and beyond the movie. You can see a good amount of these reveals early over on our Patreon or YouTube membership, but even for our current supporters, you'll be seeing some big reveals on stream for the first time. So don't miss out, and until next time, keep it fizzy.
Nuanced, thick sauce like Poupon, from the bay like Cool John, rich thoughts I'm bossed up, when it fit my plate, I know they nauseous, I keep shit cautious.
Special thanks to Andrew Analik in the ink cartridge tier, and Elizabeth Susan in the ink barrel tier. Your contributions greatly help out our projects, and we hope you continue to enjoy our content. Thanks again.
In the bonnet, I'm trying to cut me a rocket, get high as the sky when I wanna know problems.